I'm Bridget Phetasy, and this is your dumpster fire for the week of October 11th to October 17th.
And the unicorns dance while the world burns, world burns.
Roll in chief. Trump dances at a rally.
I watched this no less than 3,000 times.
That's a lot.
I feel like Trump dancing while the world burns is the only thing that makes sense to me in these very unprecedented times. It's like the boomer white man dance.
Shifting his weight from side
And
to
those
side.
tiny little hands. He just got the cutest little tiny hands. I think it's the beginning of his TikTok career. If he loses, he's going to pivot to podcaster and TikTok star.
Yeah, and he'd probably make $1 billion.
We said it here first. When he is, just know that we predicted it. I still think he's going to win, though.
I am preparing myself for either eventuality.
In spite of all of the polls, I still think he's going to win. And I could be wrong. Everybody's telling me it's going to be a blue landslide.
I don't know about that. Every time people predict that with confidence, it's like, really? Really?
Doesn't it seem like they're setting them up for another mental breakdown?
Another huge mental breakdown, which I don't know if people will recover this time. The first time
they never
was
recovered from the first one.
But if it happens a second time in the same way, they're just there'll be no recovering.
What's next?
All right. And then Trump trolls Biden with a retirement meme.
Sam.
Look, I said I had another job.
Trump definitely watches Dumpster Fire because this meme looks like a Sammy Flaps and Folds special. 100%. And we've joked about you going and working for the Trump campaign.
I mean,
the people who work for him are so dumb and also probably part of QAnon.
I am offended.
No, I feel like you would be good for the campaign. You would step things
I'd
up.
be the leader of the Trump morons.
No, I think you would be the smartest person in that team for sure.
And we all know
I'm
Sam's
still
obsessed
a little
with
offended.
QAnon.
Sam is cute. Next thing you know, we're going to start hearing Trump using the olds. He's going to be like, they say I lost the olds. That's when we'll know.
Trump is willing to kiss all the beautiful women and the guys.
I love that he specifically said, I'll kiss all the guys and the beautiful women.
And the beautiful women.
Yes, that he would rather kiss a guy than an ugly woman.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of guys out there right now are nodding their head like, tell me what the problem is.
I'll kiss the guys and the beautiful women and everybody. I'll just give you a big fat kiss.
I need to know how many guys he's kissed now.
Ew.
I have to know this. I feel like it was a dog whistle to the down low community. I'm just saying.
In his base.
Or just he's trying to attract them to his base.
Oh. All right. And then Trump says he's going to have to leave America if Biden wins.
Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
I was wondering when Hillary started writing speeches for him. I think that's a strange turn of events. She does have a podcast now, which makes me laugh myself to sleep at least once a day at night.
How often do you fall asleep?
I have narcolepsy. I just laugh about Hillary having a podcast and spontaneously fall asleep throughout the day. It's something no one knew until right now. I'm sharing this so that I can hopefully let people in and know that they can come forward with their narcolepsy. Okay, but first of all, I f***ing called this. I said on Twitter, it's going to be hilarious when Trump is the celebrity that ends up leaving America. And again, you heard it here first. We called it. Where's he going to go? I'm sure Russia will have him.
Oh, yeah. Putin will welcome him with open arms.
Yeah, he'd have to go somewhere with non-extradition, I'm sure. Maybe Putin will give him like a baby country, a satellite state that he can start honing his dictatorship skills. They're like, we gave you America and you fucked it up and lost. You couldn't even win when we were interfering in your election, you piece of shit. Now go to the Republic of Georgia. Now you have training wheels. Somebody recently told me that the Republic of Georgia is amazing and that that's where they would move. if they could. And I was thinking about maybe I should move there to the Republic of Georgia, but it would be really very much a Phetasy if I did. And then Trump became my dictator there.
Dumpster fire for president. Kamala continues to freak the nation out.
That was a great headline. There was this video, Kamala went on Maddow, and they were talking about The Fly. It was an awkward, horrible interaction. Have you ever seen acting so bad that it makes you mad?
Yes.
Like violently angry, you want to riot and beat things up. This is what this clip made me feel. At the end of it, Maddow, after their weird, flirtatious, but also disgustingly disingenuous interaction, she says, I feel bad for the closed caption people who are going to have to try and caption this. Well, America, don't you worry. We have closed captioned this interaction for you. Enjoy.
I just realized that I would kick myself if I didn't just ask you before I let you go, if you noticed the fly on Vice President Pence's head at the time during the debate, or if that was something that only we could see it at home. Could you see it sitting next to him? Did you have feelings about, like, did you have the instinct to?
You know, Rachel, I think that it's important that we kind of find a way, all of us, to move on and, kind of fly away from this subject onto something else. Yeah.
Senator Harris, you are very kind. And let's just spare a thought right now for the people who have to write closed captions for this portion of the interview and for those who have to transcribe it, because they're going to have no idea how to convey what we just communicated.
And then there was the whole her laughing like a psycho.
I don't know that there's actually a genuine cell left in her body after all of these years of politicking. And so the B cut together this video, and it's hilarious. She is so phony, it's offensive.
Biden partnered with Animal Crossing for ad campaign.
This is all Sam.
I didn't do it.
Sam, I don't even know what Animal Crossing is. We only found out about it during quarantine when Sam was fishing, sadly, by herself.
That's right.
Don't remind
I
me.
had no idea what Animal Crossing was either.
Don't remind me.
Those were dark times.
Sad, lonely fish.
Well, apparently Biden has his own virtual pedo island there now.
It's his campaign headquarters.
Okay, it's a pedo island on a virtual platform that children use. It seems a little sketchy to me. Does his avatar also forget what he's running for and where he is?
Probably.
On the island. And another question, is he trolling the QAnon crowd with this, just being on this like pedo island, or is he Q?
I should have showed you this earlier. Did you see this?
Oh my God.
No!
Somebody put that in one of the comments on the Naked Ballot, or like, I can't remember if it was on the Phetasy community.
That is amazing. That was creepy. I'm disturbed. This is weird to the Animal Crossing thing because it feels like shameless pandering to the elementary school vote. It's just like, why are you pandering to children?
It's weird. It's weird.
I mean, I know there are a lot of sad adults out there.
I hate you, Bridget. I hate you.
I took too much walnut.
She's never going to get over this sad fishing experience that you had. Yeah.
I was thinking, too, I guess if elementary school children can choose if they're trans or not, they might as well be able to vote. Maggie's like, we're not going there. But as a matter of fact, we are going there right now.
We are headed right for it. A mother asked Joe Biden how he'd protect her trans daughter.
My youngest daughter is transgender. The Trump administration has attacked the rights of transgender people. How will you, as president, reverse this dangerous and discriminatory agenda?
We're we're dying on this hill. You want to know why we're dying on this hill, America? Because, and outside of America, but mostly America, why we're dying on this hill? Because it is a forced compliance, and I will die on the hill of saying that I don't care if you're trans, but there are certain lines that we need to not cross. Like compelled, you can't force me to say things. You shouldn't probably be giving young children hormones who are deciding that they're trans because they were indoctrinated by their schools and the adults around them. And I reckon you shouldn't be allowing formerly biological men to be playing against women in sports.
I agree.
And also the prison stuff. I mean, come on.
The prison stuff is crazy, too.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All of this is crazy. All of this is crazy. And if I get banned from every platform, I've decided I'm going to talk while I still can before China and the woke censor me forever.
It really is. It's like the emperor has no clothes and no one's saying it.
Because they can't. We might get banned. I mean, we literally might just get booted off this platform for daring to say things like this that are common sense. And realizing how crazy it is makes me terrified and also makes me realize that we should all just be talking while we can.
Yeah.
Just talk while you can, freely, because that train is leaving the station. So here's my issue with this. The mother said, who's going to protect my child? Yeah, that's a great question, lady. Who's going to protect your child from you? Because this seems like child abuse. You're 8, an 8-year-old.
An 8-year-old, fine, can identify as trans because a lot of people say that, like, Buck Angel was like, I knew from a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
But is she giving her kid hormones? Because I have a problem with that. Like,
no, but she said that the Trump administration is rolling back trans protective rights, and how will Biden protect the trans community? And then Biden went on a long speech about how he saw 2 gay men when he was younger, and his dad said love is love.
No, he managed to pander to every crowd in a 2-minute video. It was like a truly amazing act of politician pandering.
And these 2 men, well-dressed, leaned up and hugged one another and kissed one another. The idea that an 8-year-old child or a 10-year-old child decides, I decided I want to be transgender. That's what I think I'd like to be. It'll make my life a lot easier. And what's happening is too many transgender women of color are being murdered.
People like this mother would literally send their child to frickin' conversion camp if they woke up and said they were a conservative before they woke up and said they might be trans.
it's true.
There might be a point. It might be easier to be trans than conservative in this world, or anything that's remotely center to the right. I have no problem with people identifying as trans or being trans. I will say this repeatedly, but I do have issues with it. It does seem like a contagion. There was a study the other day, 1 in 4 Gen Z voters are trans.
Yeah.
Identify as trans or genderqueer. Like, you can't tell me that this isn't something that is new.
Right.
And
It's
also,
a fad.
Yeah, kind of a fad. And people who dare to say that get called transphobic.
And we might get booted off YouTube for talking about this.
Yeah, but whatever. That's why we suggest you all subscribe to Phetasy.com, where we can upload videos and audio and our podcasts, and it's on a separate platform and nobody can take it down or censor us. It's dodgy because you don't want to hurt people who are trans.
Right.
You don't even having this conversation. I don't want anybody out there who's trans or might be struggling to feel like I don't have empathy, compassion, and I would stand behind you if I felt like you were being discriminated against. But if your child said, I want to be a rock star when they grow up, I want to be a rock star, Mom, I'm going on the road in 2nd grade, you wouldn't be like, okay.
Right. The hormones are irreversible. You can't just.
Yeah, and how many of those kids, too, whenever they grow up, are they going to then get angry at their parents and be like, why did you let me take hormones when I was 8?
There are going to be so many lawsuits. In a couple of decades, you're going to see so many people saying, why did you let me do this? I was underage.
And Abigail Shrier and Buck Angel on the Walk-Ins Welcome podcast were both like, you get so many accolades for like being trans,
right.
But if you
detransition,
there's no support, there's nothing, there's no help. You're booted out of the community. It's terrible.
Yeah. It's a conversation we should at least be able to have. And you can still be supportive and also say, okay, are there ways to go about this that are not hurtful to people later in life when they have changed their mind or now that they've made irreversible decisions that affect their fertility? I mean, it's crazy.
All right. And then Kanye launches his first campaign ad.
America. What is America's destiny? What is best for our nation? Our people. What is just? True justice. We have to think about all these things together as a people.
Well, I'm sold. Where do I sign? Yeah, it was a lot of talk about God and family values, not the BLM message I'm used to hearing. So it was inspiring.
I was just so distracted by where he was looking.
He's looking at God, Maggie.
No, he's not. He was looking at something just strange off camera.
He's looking at God.
He was looking at his teleprompter.
I just can't stop thinking about that Bill Burr stand-up where he talks about Kanye. He's like, that ego in a white man with blue eyes is just an open lane. It would have been civilizations.
Because if that ego, however, had floated down and landed in a blue-eyed white dude, there is no telling the damage that could have been done.
Because he was talking about how he heard him talking. He's like, I'm Kanye. Like, I'm God.
Oh, man.
I'm a genius. And he was like, I turned around and the hairs on my neck were standing up. And he's like, oh, thank God he's black.
And I turned and I looked before it even registered that it was Kanye. My first thought was, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. It's just a black guy.
And then the patriarchy is so crafty. RFU clears trans women to keep playing domestic women's rugby in England.
The patriarchy is so crafty, they'll turn themselves into a woman so they can beat the shit out of women. That's how crafty they are.
Yeah.
In what world does this make sense?
It
Again,
doesn't.
common sense. You look just physically at these people playing, and you're like, no, that doesn't seem fair.
No.
It seems like a bad idea. This is what J.K. Rowling is saying when she's saying that women are being erased.
Yeah, it's true.
And that they're not being protected. This is exactly what she means.
And she's not anti-trans, which I hate
No!
the fact that she gets slapped with that label all the time. And it's just...
I know. I was furious about that last week's Saturday Night Live. They just assume that what she said is transphobic. It's stated as fact.
Now, how did you feel when you first heard that Rowling said something transphobic?
That label gets slapped on any of it.
Anyone who speaks out against any of it.
You think you're on the right side of history and you're erasing women and putting them in danger.
Mm-hmm.
That's what is crazy to me. In prisons, in sports. I don't even want to hear that you believe in women's rights or science if you can get behind this shit. This is more of a preaching session. Feeling a little bit Kanye. I'm God. I'm a genius.
It's a good thing you're a woman.
Exactly. It's a good thing I'm a woman. There's a glass ceiling on that, too.
Parade of morons. Nancy Pelosi throws a temper tantrum on CNN.
Nancy Pelosi is an ancestor simulation run by a post-human. She glitched in this. It reminded me of Sam and I's favorite clip ever from Silicon Valley, where he's like, which one? Which one?
Which one?
Which one?
Which one?
Which one?
Which one? Which one? Which one?
There are constituents. We know them. We know them. There are constituents. We know them.
Who can't pay the rent.
And we
having
represent
trouble,
them.
who
And we
are
represent them.
Getting
And
by
we represent
these
them.
long food
And we
lines that we're
represent
seeing.
them.
It was like a robot glitching. She is small wonder if she grew up.
It makes me nuts.
It's weird how these people make me believe we are living in a simulation because they're so old. They're all glitching. It was funny, too, because at the end, she's like, we feed them. Not we in the literal sense. We feed them. Somewhere out there, feeding is happening to them.
The little people.
Them.
We feed them. We feed them.
Okay.
They may be poor, but there are poors.
We will rally the poors.
Let them eat ice cream.
This is something you can get through the mail. Chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here.
But not the expensive kind. That's for me.
That's for her. I mean, fuck all these people.
And then we have large crowds gathered to celebrate Lakers championship.
Looking at the NBA ratings, I think this might have literally been everyone who watched the final. I didn't even know the finals were happening.
No.
No one watched basketball this year. It's ironic that the NBA gets all their money from the most racist country in the world now. And that they've lost their entire U.S. audience. This is an asterisk championship. They played it in a bubble. It's not like a real championship. There were no fans. There were no crowds. It doesn't count. You're still one behind the Celtics, Lakers. One behind the Celtics.
All right. And then we have California. The mayor of Los Angeles cancels Halloween.
I'm feeling pent up.
A baby feral getting born.
It is. That's the baby feral. Why must you lock us up with these inconsistent rules? It's the inconsistency that drives me insane. This is an outdoor gathering. I thought these were allowed. Why is trick-or-treating frowned upon? There's no scientific evidence that this is a super spreader event at all. What happened to being the party of science, huh? What happened to opening up based on science? Maybe if they all dress up like Antifa and throw a brick through the window, they'll be allowed to trick-or-treat. Trick-or-treat! Smash your window, burn some buildings down.
Give me all your Snickers.
That's allowed. If you are going to trick-or-treat in LA and want to get away with it, here are Dumpster Fire's suggestions for some Halloween costumes. You could be a ballot harvester. You could be Antifa. You could be a BLM protester. You could also be a Lakers fan or a homeless person.
What about a rioter?
That's pretty much Antifa. And while you're here, like, subscribe, and comment. Touch my bells and buttons. You guys did a great job last week touching all the buttons and all the bells. And tell your friend. I'd rather have you tell a friend about us, honestly. Do all that stuff, but tell a friend.
Tell your friends like you have one friend.
I only have like 2 friends.
They're all on
and they're
set.
right here.
We both know about Dumpster Fire, so we're no help.
And tell your moms. Moms love us. Wives love us as well. We have a big wife contingency. We're holding the line for the chicks who are pro-choice and also love guns.
Then we have proof we're living in a simulation. A study shows there's a 50% chance we're living in a simulation.
Once again, you heard it here on Dumpster Fire. That's the theme of this entire Dumpster Fire is, I told you so.
Proof! We're living in a simulation.
50-50 isn't proof.
I still love it.
It's a coin flip.
It's amazing that it's still 50-50.
Coin flip probability is not science.
I love it.
Pretty much everything has a chance of happening or not happening or being or not being.
If science tells me there's a 50% chance we're living in a simulation, I think that's pretty awesome.
This is the article where I read about the ancestor simulation run by posthumans.
If you have anxiety, I'm sorry.
If you have anxiety, this is the wrong show to be watching.
If you have anxiety, you're just a simulation, so just delete your anxiety. No big deal.
Yeah, and delete your account. Just kidding.
And this week we have the RIP award for Eddie Van Halen.
RIP to an absolute legend. The music speaks more than I could ever say, so we'll just allow you guys to enjoy this insane guitar solo.
And then we have the BDE award.
The BDE award goes to Amy Coney Barrett. A lot of you are going to hate that, but that's why we're here to annoy you. You may not fundamentally agree with her politics or her positions, but I think it's safe to say that she handled herself with dignity and charm and grace, and she was incredibly intelligent and patient, and more importantly, she was entirely normal. It was such a refreshing moment just to see how normal she was. Smart woman who clearly knows her shit.
Can you hold up what you've been referring to in answering our questions? Is there anything on it?
That letterhead that says United States Senate.
And made every single senator look like a retard. And actually, it's shocking to me how dumb you can be to become a senator. And I know I should have known that already, but I just started paying attention like 2 years ago. I could become a senator. Morons!
Morons! Make Orwell fiction again. This is a new category.
It's a new category based on a hashtag that started based on a t-shirt that was ripped off of a tweet, I believe.
Nice.
It belongs to all of us now, the internet. And it belongs to us on Dumpster Fire. So Amy Coney Barrett used the term sexual preference.
I have no agenda, and I do want to be clear that I have never discriminated on the basis of sexual preference and would not ever discriminate on the basis of sexual preference.
A term which only weeks ago was kind of used interchangeably to mean sexual orientation. And everybody got offended, and Webster Dictionary changed the definition of the term to add the word offensive to the definition. It became slang and an offensive way to mean that sexual orientation is a choice. Everybody was kind of laughing about this, and they're like, that's kind of lighthearted, but it's also extremely chilling.
It's disturbing.
Yeah. There's a great quote from 1984. Every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book rewritten. Every date has been altered. And the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. Dun, 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 dun.
That hits a little too close to home.
Not to be the buzzkill in the room or the frog screaming in the boiling water. Sexy frog. But that's where we are. We're seeing this all the time. This week in particular. And this is what I hear from people all the time about why they're voting for Trump. They're like all the censorship, the big tech, this kind of creepy Orwellian, changing the definition of words on the fly, words that meant one thing one day. When you're changing a word to use it politically, to be politically damaging, is very chilling.
I'm like, what is the review process for these words? Like, why? Is
it like Wikipedia?
Right. It's a fad. It's a moment in time, and all of a sudden the word gets redefined. It's just not cool. Webster's Dictionary.
We don't want to be a buzzkill or anything here on Dumpster Fire, but we're here to warn you that the censorship is coming, and it's coming fast to America, because I've covered more stories in the past 2 weeks about shit that should not be happening in America than makes me comfortable sitting here. Could be the last time I'm sitting here. You might see me now, and I might get memory holed and disappeared, because that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to be me nervously laughing.
Get wrecked, China.
Oh my God. Okay. So many good stories in Get Wrecked China this week, but none so good as this story, which I will try to encapsulate quickly for you. In Midland, Texas, there is a pastor, Bob Fu. He is a Christian, and he does lots of outreach and work, and he also helps raise money to bring persecuted Christians from China to escape horrible conditions for them, and often communist disappearings. Recently, there have been busloads of people who have been brought to Midland to protest in front of his house. They get off the bus, they're handed a sign, a flag, and a mask, and they barely speak any English, and they are there to protest this man who's supposedly a Chinese spy. And they don't speak any English or Chinese. And there's this thought that they were sent by the Chinese Communist Party to protest Bob Fu, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then I went down this whole rabbit hole because there's this huge billionaire, and he has all these media companies. And if you even Google Bob Fu, it's this other billionaire and all of his media companies burying him, saying that he's a Chinese spy. But this billionaire is the one who's in fact probably a Chinese spy.
And paying for this protest.
Yeah, they're paying $500 a day. Shit, I'll go fucking protest Bob Fu for $500 a day.
I can't believe China doesn't have better things to do.
Or they just have that many resources, which is even more terrifying.
More terrifying.
Antifa gets a pizza and a hand job from Trigglypuff. A half-eaten pizza.
Monsters.
I know.
Nearly a year after tweeting support for freedom in Hong Kong, Houston Rockets GM Daryl Morey is leaving the NBA, according to ESPN.
Another terrifying story coming out of China in the United States. I like to spread the conspiracy that he was pushed out by China. It doesn't make any sense that he would leave. He just signed a 5-year contract, and he also had the second best regular season in the past 13 years. They get $400 billion from the Chinese audience, and I think that poor Daryl Morey got pushed out by China.
Because of China.
Well, because they just started showing it again during the finals. That nobody watched here, and then he just randomly resigned.
Right, because China had stopped broadcasting the NBA in response to this tweet.
China has already invaded the U.S.
And then China has drone swarms.
These things are terrifying. I think it's funny that they always do those big displays of drones, you know, and they're really cool, and they have them on their festivals, and everybody's like, oh, ah. I'm like, imagine those with lasers and guns on them attacking you from air and from sea and from land. They've been practicing dropping them from helicopters, from the land. I mean, this is going to be a coordinated drone attack every single week. My premonitions about China are getting closer and closer to being true.
Yep.
I miss the murder hornets.
Yeah, I do too.
Get wrecked, big tech. Twitter limited the sharing of a New York Post story. Is it social media censorship?
This is another long story. Long and short is Twitter decided to censor the link of a story. They shut down the account of the New York Post for a day and made it impossible for them to post. And they also made it impossible for anyone to post this link, even in DM. You couldn't even privately send it to anybody.
That's nuts.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It was an article all about Hunter's connections to the Ukraine and Russian money. And then there were pictures of him. And it wasn't really the bombshell story that everybody thought it was going to be. It was pretty kind of meh. But you should be able to talk about these things. And I'm not here to adjudicate whether or not Biden and Hunter and all of this stuff, but I do think that it should be 19, 18, 17 days away from an election, something that we're able to publicly discuss. Again, we're running into this very chilling and disturbing pattern of things we aren't allowed to talk about in the public space. And then Senator Ted Cruz came out and said, you know, looks like Jack's headed back to Capitol Hill because it's ridiculous. Even the Republican Party tried to tweet the story and then it wouldn't let them. And that's a violation of the First Amendment rights. You can't do that to a political party. And they were like, see you soon, Jack.
And the committee today will be noticing a markup on Tuesday to issue a subpoena to Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee next Friday.
It's bad.
That's fucked up.
I know how to fix it, though. I think you should be able to log into Twitter and you have liberal bubble Twitter that's censored and where all the people who have trigger warnings and don't want to hear anything and there's hate speech and you're sensitive to every word. And then you have Wild West Twitter. And you can choose. You can log in and say, I don't want to deal with all of the freedom to hear things I don't like or want to hear. I'm going to go to liberal bubble Twitter and be safe.
And be safe from all the microaggressions.
It's a safe space on Twitter. Just create a safe space and let the rest of us exist in Wild West Twitter.
All right. In dumpster diving.
What's next? In the dumpster.
The Flaming Lips performed a gig in Bubbles to an audience also in Bubbles.
I would hotbox the shit out of my bubble and die in 30 seconds of lack of oxygen. This whole scene just triggered all of my claustrophobia and also fear of getting trampled in a crowd or what the do you do in the event of a fire?
Seriously.
A fire that I start when I pass out because I lost oxygen in my bubble smoking weed and now my flames started a bubble on fire.
Wearable necklace beeps at you when you're less than 6 feet from someone.
Why not just skip this charade and put these shock collars on everybody? Let's just pass right through. Jesus fucking Christ. This is ridiculous.
A squirrel in South Carolina has predicted the winner of the 2020 election.
Seems credible. What another perfect metaphor. Some animal picking which nut is going to win.
That was a good
one. That's a
good
good
dad
one.
joke.
Thank you.
And then we have Hormel's Black Label Bacon has a bacon-scented mask.
What the who wants this around them, eh? Like you're sitting on a bus and you just smell like bacon?
I know, and you to actually
and the
have
dogs
it on
are
your
just
face.
chasing you when you go on a walk.
You start sweating and just smells like sizzling bacon.
And then if the mask, you have to wash the mask at some point, does it just lose its bacon scent?
Or does it make
does
all
your
of your
stuff
clothes
smell like bacon?
And then we have Everything is Racist, the Great British Bake Off. This was the third BAME, Black, Asian, and Minority Ethnic. This was the third BAME contestant to be booted off.
Sam and I were watching this, and we watch a lot of this, and we were laughing because it was a minority, and I was like, do you think they're going to get booted? Because, you know, in America, that's not happening. No matter what, no matter if they have a soggy bottom or not, that's not happening. And they just booted. I'm like, Britain doesn't give a f-. They're like, no, your shit sucks. You're out of here.
Brits know what they're doing, man.
All right.
And I mean, are we
Not
surprised
really.
that they were racist a little bit? It is Britain after all.
I know. Don't give them too much credit.
Yeah.
And then in Breaking Bridget, Gal Gadot gets canceled for getting cast as Cleopatra.
First of all, why are you canceling her? She's gorgeous. She should be able to play anything she fucking wants.
Seriously.
And the anti-Semitism that was underpinning a lot of this criticism was fucking disgusting. Get a grip, people. Anti-Semitism precedes every major world war. We're seeing it all over the place, all over the world. What is your fucking problem? Everybody needs to tone it down just a few notches on the anti-Semitism. You absolute lunatics.
Gal Gadot should be able to play whatever the fuck she wants to play.
That's what I said.
Yeah, it's true.
She is gorgeous, and she's a goddess. And if she wants to give this role up because she's getting canceled, I am happy to replace her. I will take the hit. Because truthfully, I should have been cast as Cleopatra.
Wow, here comes that Kanye ego again.
I know, that's what I'm going to start going with. I'm Cleopatra. I'm born again. I will rise to take up the army and lose my country.
And now we have some Internet is Glorious clips.
And let him just...
I have so much work I got to do tonight. But am I going to start right now? No. I'm not going to start anytime soon. And that's because I leave the big jobs up to future me. Now, future me is the same person as present me, but a few hours have gone by. Some time has passed.
Highlight and you barely put the tip in it.
Listen to a Loran bragging about his empty sky. Nothing can compare to my majestic underwater empire.
And then in Phetasy news,
we had Walk-Ins Welcome with Carol Markowitz. It was a great conversation. Check it out. Also subscribe to Walk-Ins Welcome wherever you find it on podcast. On Sundays, a day before the edited version drops, we also love and worship our community. It's a cult. Actually, it's a family. It's the fam. And all we need to know is your favorite Kool-Aid when you join. But join Phetasy.com and come work out with us. We do Zoom calls. It's just a little gated community where there's not so much noise and hatred. You can get our merch at BridgetPhetasy.com. Please go buy some mugs, and we do promise we have some stuff coming. Thank you, Better Phetasy, for your research. Thank you, Zen Pro Audio, for the mics. Thank you, Sam.
You're
Flaps and
welcome.
Folds. Thank you, Maggie. Find them in their
welcome.
respective homes online. That's it. I'm done. I'm out.
Thank you, Bridget.
Get out of here. I don't want to hear it. This has been your dumpster fire for the week of October 11th to October 17th. I'm Bridget Phetasy, your queen. No, make me rich.